Hello, everyone. This is the Reverend, and today we are going to be talking about a tweet Joe Biden made. Joe Biden claims that 5 million more people under his care as president have been added to insurance plans, that they have health insurance. Now, while even if this is true, it's still a bad thing. I don't believe a damn thing Joe Biden says. Anything he says, I think, is a lie. Because I just can't trust the man. He's lied too much. Now, let's go into why, even if this is true, it's a bad thing. Wait times in countries with socialized medicine are ridiculous. It's because there aren't enough doctors to deal with the issues. Why aren't there enough doctors? Well, what a doctor can make is decided by the government, not by the free market. Now, we're running into this problem here as well. Overinflated costs because of the government and interfering in the free market. If the government hadn't interfered in the free market, we would probably have at-home x-ray machines now, for cheap enough for your average person to buy. You could probably have your own clinic in your own home where you could do an MRI and everything else and just send the results to the doctor. That is completely possible. What's happened is there's no reason to innovate because you can't make money from it. Let's look at the lying problem, though. If everyone has health insurance, you're going to the doctor for anything. Get a little cough, I'll go to the doctor, get me some cough syrup. That way I don't have to pay out of pocket. Leg sore, I'll go to the doctor. Back's a little sore, I'll go to the doctor. Any little problem, you go to the doctor because you've been trained your whole life that that's what you're supposed to do. It's not. You go to the doctor when you're sick. Like you're so miserable you don't want to breathe or you don't want to move. That's when you go to the doctor. You don't go to the doctor for a cold. You let the cold run its course. Drink plenty of fluids and you eat good. Beat a cold. Starve a fever. If you're running a high fever for an extended period of time, you go to the doctor. Not for a cold. You break an arm. You fall off a roof, you go to the doctor, see if there's something wrong. Stub your toe, you don't go to the doctor. In places with socialized medicine, they stub their toe, they go to the doctor. And that's retarded. That is stupid. You don't go to the doctor for things like that. And that's the issue we're starting to run into here. People with health insurance are starting to go to the doctor for any little thing. It's stupid. You don't do that. Personally, I believe we need to get rid of the health insurance completely and redo the system. Now, here's how we could redo health insurance to where it would actually work. Health insurance only covers emergencies. Health insurance only covers an adult if they've been running a fever of 100 or above for 24 to 48 hours. And it covers children if they've been running a fever of 100 or above for 8 hours. Children are different than adults. They have different things that they can handle. An adult can handle a fever way better than a child. It's just facts. Now, when it comes to what adults can handle pain-wise, that's a different story. But let's just go into it. Health insurance covers babies and prenatal care. That's an emergency. Something goes wrong there, it could cause major problems. That's an emergency. Health insurance should cover that. Health insurance should not cover checkups. It should not cover your dental care. It should not cover your eye care. It should not cover anything that is not an emergency or like And if it's not prenatal care or an emergency, it should not cover any of it. If this happens, the costs are going to go down. Doctors won't be able to charge as much, but they know if they charge less, poor people will come. Because poor people are less likely to come in when they're sick if they can afford it. So they drop their costs by probably 90-95%. The doctors will still make money. Hospitals make an overload of cash. Now, let's get rid of the laws that say that they have to take care of someone if they come into the emergency room. Let's make it to where they only have to treat someone if it is an emergency, like a broken arm or something like that. You come in with the cold or the flu, they tell you to go fuck yourself. I think that's completely fine. There's nothing wrong with that. The thing is, if you can't tell somebody, hey, this isn't an emergency, go see a doctor somewhere else, it's going to inflate costs again, because then they've got to make up that cost elsewhere. Let hospitals figure out what's an emergency and say, sorry, we're not going to treat you. Now, it's okay to put laws into effect stating what is and isn't an emergency. Put laws into effect stating that if a person's been running a fever for more than, say, 48 hours, a high fever, that's an emergency. Because that can kill you. But put it in to where it's like 102 fever. And they have to have documented with pictures. Let's say that you break an arm. That's an emergency. You're having a baby. That's an emergency. You got shot. That's an emergency. You've got the sniffles. No, not an emergency. Stubbed your toe. No, not an emergency. Can't afford health insurance and you're in pain. No, not an emergency. There's a lot of people out there that hurt. Suck it up. Deal with it, Buttercup. Another thing we need to do to fix this issue is change how we're raising our kids. Train our children to just stand up and suck it up. Look at our babies and be like, oh, it's not that bad. Come on, you can do it. It's not that bad. That's a lot better than overreacting. I know there's a ton of single moms. They're worthless people in the most part. If you just left your man because, well, I don't like him. Oh, so what? You shouldn't have spread your legs in the first part. Okay? If you don't like the guy now, you shouldn't have ever spread your legs for him in the first place. That's your fault. Stick with it. Raise your kid with their father. Okay? Personally, I want to make premarital sex and adultery both punishable crimes. I want both punished by flogging. Now, I would say there is an argument for the death penalty on adultery. And I would say there's an argument for forced marriage on fornication. If you are having sex before you are married, I believe there is an argument to say, okay, you guys are legally married now. That would stop 99% of premarital sex because women would be selective as crap. If it's like, oh wait, if I get caught having sex with this guy, I've got to marry him. Yeah, they wouldn't sleep with anybody that they weren't willing to marry. That would fix probably 2/3 of this country's problems within a 10-year span, 10 to 20-year span. We need to stop being a evil and stupid country and turn back to God.